You're listening to the Journey to Launch podcast. Side hustling your way to pay off debt and bouncing back from setbacks on your journey with Jason Butler.
T-minus 10 seconds.
Welcome to the Journey to Launch podcast with your host, Jamila Souffrant. As a money expert who walks her talk, she helps brave journeyers like you get out of debt, save, invest, and build real wealth. Join her on the journey to launch to financial freedom in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, journeyers. Thanks for listening to the Journey to Launch podcast. Thanks for getting in the rocket. We are taking off. I'm excited to talk to this week's guest, Jason Butler, because he is just giving us the real deal on what it's like being in the thick of the journey, paying off debt, having setbacks while on the journey, and then side hustling. How are you going to earn more money to put towards your financial goals? And we're going to talk all about that with Jason Butler today. So just a little bit more about Jason. Jason is a self-proclaimed serial side hustler, and he is also the owner and blogger over at Money Chronicles, where he discusses his personal finance, side hustles, travels, and more. He currently makes between $500 and $800 a month with his eBay business, and he's using other side hustles to pay off debt. He's originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and we have the same love for Miami. You're going to hear about it in the episode when we start talking. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this conversation with Jason. So if you want any of the episode show notes, you can go to journeytolaunch.com/episode 95. This is episode 95. I'm also excited because I have great news. The Launch Club doors are going to reopen, not for a couple months. They're going to open up again in July 18th to be exact. But I want you, if you missed a chance to enroll in the membership community for journeyers just like yourself, reaching their goals, getting the support and the resources they need, then you should sign up to the wait list because you'll get notified before anyone else. And I might actually do something a little special for people on that wait list. So go to journeytolaunch.com/Launch Club to be the first to know when Launch Club doors open. Now, as always, thank you for listening. I love when you guys are sharing how you are feeling about the podcast, what you are doing to reach your goals. I get so much great feedback on like the action steps that you guys are taking. So continue to do that. Continue to share that with me on social media and tag me and let other people know. So I'm Journey to Launch on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So you can continue to tag me, continue to let me know what you're feeling about it. And of course, if you're listening to this in Apple Podcasts, the purple app on your iPhone, then please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. And of course, just subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Now, without further ado, let's get into this wonderful conversation with Jason. Hey, journeyers, really excited to have on Jason Butler from My Money Chronicles on the podcast, who is going to dive deep into side hustling. So that's one thing I know you journeyers love talking about. How do we make more money? So Jason's going to share with us some ways that he's making money on the side, and then a bit about his story, his journey to being debt free and getting his money together. So welcome to the podcast, Jason.
Thank you, Jamila, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, you're another FinCon peeps. I met you at FinCon this past year, or last year, I should say. And I was like, I need to reach out, especially to more like Black men in my podcast, because I was like looking back on it and I'm like, wow, like I haven't had that many. And I know a few doing some amazing things. So I was like, I got to reach out to Jason and have him on the show. So I'm happy that you're here.
I'm definitely glad to be here.
All right. So you have an interesting story. And one of the reasons why I like your blog and your site is because you really chronicle, as is the name of your blog, your money journey. And you don't have it all figured out yet. You're still in debt, and you really keep it real about when you don't hit your goals, when you don't pay off as much as you like. And I want to talk about that because I think so many people are going through that. Like they're in the thick of it and they're not progressing maybe as fast as they like. And so I love having on people who I know that people can relate to in that sense. So let's first start with where you started. How did you get into caring so much about money and being intentional about paying off your debt?
Well, that's crazy. Before I turned 30, my money was basically in shambles. I turned 30 in 2013. And before that time, I started reading different websites such as Making Sense of Sense and Michelle is Money Hungry, different blogs. And I saw that they were doing side hustles and actually paying off debt and trying to make things happen. So I figured I might as well try to do the same thing myself. So I started my website back in March 2013, actually 6 years ago, a couple of days ago, under the name The Butler Journal. And during that time, basically created it just to document my journey. And it's been an up and down ride, not even going to lie. The first 2 years of my website, I was nowhere near serious with it. And I definitely struggled. I actually was working a full-time job, quit that job to travel for a little bit and try the entrepreneur thing. That didn't work. And then I rededicated myself to getting serious about my debt-free journey back in 2015. And from there, it's been ups and downs almost every year.
All right. So now I just have to get deeper into this because I'm so interested in what you just said. When you first started, like when you first kind of woke up and was like, whoa, I need to get a handle on things. How much debt were you in?
Whew. At that time, it was a little bit over $72,000 worth of debt.
And what was that? Break that down.
And that debt was basically, at that time, it was maybe like $1,000 left on a car note, 60-something thousand worth of student loans. Let me see, a couple thousand of credit card loans. I think one personal loan and one's very small medical bill.
Okay. And what did you go to school for?
Let's see, I went to school at Savannah State University and I got my degree in marketing.
Ah, okay. And so when you started working full time, did you get a job in marketing or did you use that degree? Because I always find it interesting.
No.
Yeah, like people's like their student loan, you know, how much it is in relation to when they like what they thought they'd make when they come out and their career.
Yeah, that right there's a story in itself. I graduated in 2008 and during the time I was happy to graduate, but nobody told me that in 2008 that was going to be the beginning of the next recession. And it took me a year and a half to get a full-time job. When I first graduated, I was still working in basically a retail store inside of a restaurant. And that was my college job. And full-time to them equaled 30 hours a week and literally making $10 an hour. So I struggled for that first year and a half. After I got my first full-time job in 2009, started making a little bit more money. And I was actually working at one of the banks down in Savannah, Georgia at that time. And it still was not the amount of money that I thought I was going to be making at the time. So, yeah, for a few years, I went up and down with making more income, but it's still not being enough because over the time of me now working a full-time job for a year and a half, my loans had basically like went up. The interest started kicking in, had late fees, the same with my credit cards. So everything, I was in a mess. I just say I was in a mess.
Mm-hmm. And I imagine at that point you didn't know all the stuff you know now. And so you probably weren't as focused to get things together then.
Not at all. I wasn't focused and I still was kind of like in denial. Even though I was living check to check, I wasn't acting like I was living check to check. I would still go out on the weekends or still splurge, going to happy hour, going to the club with my friends, buying shots and doing all kind of like ridiculous stuff that I should not have been doing at the time. But I was in my mid-20s and I thought that I was going to have everything in control. But in actuality, I didn't.
And so what was the wake-up call? Why did you decide to change? I know you kind of, like you mentioned, that you started to read blogs, but did something happen that made you wake up?
I guess for me, it basically was me turning 30. And then not to mention the fact that same year that I turned 30, a couple months later, my grandma passed away. And I think those two, with me turning 30 and my grandma passing away, basically showed me that, oh crap, I got to get a little bit serious about life. If I want to live life the way that I want to live it and not struggle, I have to get serious about my finances. And I wanted to be in a situation that when I do pass, hopefully it's like when I'm like 85, like how she was, I'll be able to have a lot of money and a lot of things to pass down to my family. So I think those two kind of like go hand in hand with me getting a little bit serious about that.
And I ask that because usually there is something, there's some moment. For a lot of people, it's like small little moments and it kind of bubbles up. But then there's some definitive moment for a lot of people. So, all right. So you had this awakening. You're like, okay, there's something else that I should be doing. I need to be doing more. But now I'm interested because you said you quit your job and traveled and tried to do some entrepreneurship things and that didn't work. So can you talk a little bit about that part of your journey?
Yeah, it was actually a fun part of the journey. When I graduated from college in 2008, as a gift to myself, I basically had a goal set that I was going to travel from coast to coast, and I was going to drive from the East Coast to the West Coast because I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I wanted to drive from the beginning of Interstate 10, which starts in Jacksonville, and it ends in Santa Monica, California. And I wanted to do this in 2008. The time wasn't right then. I wasn't mentally ready to do that. Fast forward to 2013, when I was 29, right before I turned 30, I figured what better way to bring my 30s in to do this cross-country trip. So me and an ex-girlfriend, we both saved $2,500 a piece. I basically put in my 2 weeks notice, planned the trip. My last day was on a Thursday. I left July 1st of 2013, which was a Sunday, and we basically were gone for 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, it was a great trip. It showed me so much about myself. Basically that you can live without having a 9-to-5, that if you actually plan things and actually make things happen, you can do what you want to do. And if I had the opportunity to do it again, even though sometimes I think I wouldn't do it, I would, because it got me out of my comfort zone so much that I haven't been the same person since then. And the fun part is that when I got back, I still had a little bit of money saved because we didn't use all the money that we saved for the trip. I was actually on a game show out there, so I won some money as well. And when I came back, I didn't immediately go back into like full-time work because I was trying to do my entrepreneur thing. I had just started with the website. I was dibbing and dabbing in eBay a little bit, but I ended up finding like a little part-time canvassing job working with like one of the councilmen of the city. So I was good from I got back July 15th and I was doing great until about January of the next year. And when January came, I was still spending the money, but I wasn't making any money from the website because I still was pretty new with blogging. eBay, I was nowhere near as good with eBay as I am now. I wasn't even really going to thrift stores back then. So the money started to run out. And in March, I just started applying for different jobs. I have my full-time job now is a financial aid counselor. The job that I quit was a financial aid representative. I basically stated at that time that I never want to work a financial aid job again. So I just started applying for any jobs. And I was able to get 2 part-time jobs. One job was delivering sandwiches at Jimmy John's restaurant. And then the second job was being a ticket event team representative for the Atlanta Braves. And that was a humbling time for me because I was 30, basically working a restaurant job. And at the other job, I was 8 or 9 years older than the majority of the people that I was working with. And it was humbling because I had said I didn't want to work in another financial aid job. But after working those 2 part-time jobs, got me a little bit humble, got me focused. I just started applying for financial aid jobs again. And let me see, I started working those jobs in April. By November of that same year, I got hired at the current school that I work for now as a financial aid counselor. And I've been there full-time ever since.
Okay. And I love that you took that risk, that you did that, because it's one of those things where, you don't know what you don't know. And it's where you don't want to regret things that you didn't do. So for you to take that trip and drive cross country, it sounds like you really did enjoy yourself. And then it sounds like also, even though you ended up in a position that you thought you didn't want, like you said, you learned so much about yourself and it forced you to get smarter with your money along the way.
Definitely. It definitely did that. And like I tell people all the time, if someone is to ask me, should I quit a job and go do something? I'm like, I'm not the person to ask because I may tell you to do it when in actuality, you may not need to do it because you may not have a successful or good experience like I did. Literally mess yourself up and get in a lot of debt doing that. During this time, because I had saved a little bit of money and won money on a game show, I didn't really get into much more debt.
Mm-hmm. But it seems like when you got back, it was after that you kind of fell into your lifestyle and you couldn't keep up probably with the debt you had.
Yeah, I couldn't keep up. I definitely couldn't keep up with the debt that I had. And then the student loan interest was kicking my butt too, because I started to get those bills after a while. And those amounts did start going up. So I did get a little bit more debt because of that.
So now you realize, all right, I'm getting serious. You get a full-time job. And what are your next steps to like start attacking this debt? Because we're gonna get into some strategies on how you're doing that now, and then your side hustles.
Okay. The crazy thing and also the amazing thing was that by the time I started back working, my credit score was shot. I was like in the mid to high 500s. Like no lie. Once I got that full-time job in January of 2015, I called all my creditors that I was behind on, even the student loans. I let them know that, hey, I need to get current. I'm trying to pay this stuff off and get everything in order. By 3 months, I had got current on all the student loans and the credit cards. And by 8 months, my credit score had went up by 168 points. That was just me actually being an adult about the situation, picking up the phone, calling them and making plans. Like 2 or 3 years before that, I would see Sally Mae call me and pick up the phone and immediately hang up or do something even more dumber than that. But with age, you get a little bit. Yeah, I don't want to say what else I was doing. But with age, you get a little bit of wisdom. So, shoot, I ain't really had a phone call from Sally Mae since then because, like, I pay my stuff on time now.
So I'm hearing one of the big things that you did was you got your head out of the sand and you took responsibility and just called your creditors and said, "Hey, this is the deal. Let's work on something."
Yeah, it was because maybe I was a little immature in my 20s, just thinking stuff was automatically going to fix itself. And I know some people do think like that, and I probably did to a point. But I realized that I got myself into the situation. I got to get serious and get a little bit more focused and get myself out this situation.
Okay. And then during that time, you were chronicling this at the time, it was called the Butler Journal, right?
Correct. Yep. I was doing which I still do, a monthly debt update and talk about what works that month, what didn't work, how much I paid on the debt, and how much it went down by. Some months are a lot better than others, I'll say that.
All right, so let's get into it. So you said when you first started tracking it, you were at maybe $72,000. So where are you now with your student loan debt? Well, not student loan, but just everything.
Everything right now, it sucks. I'm a little bit over 65,000. And the reason it sucks is that because last year I was doing great. I had paid off over $12,000 worth of debt. I was finally under 59K and my car went out. And with my car going out, I was in a situation. I had put $400 in the car to try to fix it. And what I thought was a minor brake problem was not a minor brake problem. Like they would have had to take the whole brake system apart. And I wasn't about to put like $1,500 to $1,600 in a car, in a 20-year-old vehicle that didn't have airbags. So I had to get a newer car. So I ended up getting a 2011 Chevy Malibu. Car is nice, excellent, but it cost me $8,000. So instantly put me back at $68,000 last year.
I'm so glad you're sharing this experience because this is part of the journey, right? So you're making strides. You feel like you got it going on. You're paying off a lot of debt, and then something like this happens. When you look back at it, is there anything you could have done differently about preparing for a situation like this or buying something different? Like, what are your thoughts around the lessons learned from that situation?
The crazy thing is, I think I could have had a little bit more money in my emergency fund. That's one. I used some of that money to try to initially get the other car fixed. And I wasted over $400 trying to fix a car that they did a fix on it and it didn't work at all. So I could have had some more money in the emergency fund. That's one. Two, I could have buckled down like even before, because I knew I needed a new car. I knew I was like on borrowed time with my vehicle anyway. I could have actually started saving money for like a used car fund because I knew I needed it, but I don't know why I didn't save for it. I just was focused on like trying to pay off those loans and some of the other debts. But those are two things that I definitely should have did.
Mm-hmm. And I hear that a lot. So sometimes you get so super focused on one side of like the equation where you're like, well, I'm seeing this progress, and while I know something may happen, let's just hope it doesn't, so I can focus on this, and then things like that. But it sounds like at the end of the day, you did it. It's what it is. And you needed a car. So well, as you were talking, I'm like, that's the one thing about like living in Atlanta, where it might be like lower cost of living than like living in New York. But somewhere like New York, depending on where you live, like if you live in Brooklyn or one of the boroughs, you can get away without having a car. So I have a friend that has a very old car, and we were talking about it the other day about her just getting rid of it. Cause like you, like she's having to put all this work into it.
Mm-hmm.
But in her case, like if she gave it up, she doesn't need to get another car. But I'm assuming where you are in Atlanta, you just need a car to get around, right?
Yeah. Like for me, I like to be able to like leave and come and go like whenever I want to. Like our transit system, it sucks, to be honest. It would take me like an hour and a half to get to, probably an hour and a half to get to work because of like where I live at. Because like the bus system doesn't run like every 10 or 15 minutes. I want to say it runs like every 30 or 45 minutes. And I literally live 15 minutes from my job driving. So I continue to drive just because the infrastructure for our transit system is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
When they created it in the 70s, they didn't expect the city to grow this fast and get as crowded as it is now. So it's going to be a while before we get that transit system up and running the correct way.
Right, right. So now that, you feel like you had to push back, or your goal has been moved a little bit forward in terms of like your debt payoff end date because of the car and some other things, what have you been doing differently? What's your mission now? So you're back kind of where your debt just raised a little bit, but what are you doing now to make sure you are going to stay focused and pay it off this time around as you keep moving forward?
Yeah, it's a couple things. Can I actually tell you what I set my debt payment date for?
Yeah.
When I first started it back in 2015, I had set the date to be October 17, 2018. That was my 35th birthday. And at the time, I thought I was going to be able to make it happen. Well, last year, after the car situation and a couple other things happened, like in previous years, I was nowhere near that amount. So basically, I looked at my numbers when I was jotting up that list. And I tell people, honestly, I failed. I paid some stuff off, but at the end of the day, I feel like I failed. And what I'm doing different this time around, I'm actually paying a lot more attention to what I'm doing and what I mean by that is that the first year and a half on my website, I literally tried 8 or 9 different side hustles, and I kept bouncing back, jumping to different ones and not even focusing on what I need to do. Now it's 3 side hustles that I'm really focused on, and they are eBay, selling t-shirts, and my website. And I'm making a decent amount of money with at least with 2 out of 3 of those right now. And the third one should be growing pretty soon. And that should help me pay off the debt a lot quicker and actually make some moves with it. Because like, even though last time I set that date for 3 years, I'm not setting a date this time. I don't want to set the date for 2022 and still have $50,000 to go. But what I did do was set a goal this year to pay off $20,000 worth of debt, and I actually started doing that last October after I knew that I wasn't going to reach my other goal. And currently I have a little bit under 17,000 to go, which is all right. But I know for a fact that I need to start applying at least $1,690 each month to this debt. And I got some things that I'm working on that hopefully get me there closer to like the fourth quarter of the year.
Mm-hmm. I love that you're doing what works for you. So while you don't necessarily need to set an ultimate end date, I like that you set a goal for this year and you're working towards it. And so I want to get to some of these side hustles because I really want to dig deep. I know you're doing really well at eBay. And so I want to talk about how you're doing the eBay stuff. Like, how does one get into that? Because you said how much a month you figure you make from that?
Let's see. Right now, I make between $600 and $800 a month on eBay. And that's doing it strictly part-time because I have a full-time job and a blog. So,
and that's a profit, right?
Yeah. Profit would be, okay, if I make $800 in a month, the profit for that would probably be around between $650 and $675. So on a $600 month, I say that's $500 worth of profit.
Okay. So that's good. All right. So how did you get into eBay? I know you said you started earlier and you didn't know what you were doing, but like, how are you doing it now? Are you selling your own things? Are you like going to thrift shops?
Yeah. Back in the day when I first started, like I've been dibbing and dabbing with eBay since 2009. I got semi-serious about it in 2015. I went to a thrift store. I saw a Dwayne Wade jersey, Miami Heat jersey for like $3. Went home, took pictures, put it on eBay, had it and sold it for $45. So that was a $42 profit right there. You can't beat that. So I was hooked. When I first started, I was selling like my stuff too. Old tennis shoes, old jerseys, old sports things. And now I go to thrift stores and yard sales. Like some of my main items like that I sell are sports related items because like I love sports, basketball, football, baseball, different things like that. So it's jerseys, bobbleheads, sporting equipment. I'm always going to sell tennis shoes because tennis shoes will always sell. Like I used to just sell like basketball shoes, but now I sell running shoes, weightlifting shoes, golfing shoes, just different types of stuff like that. And it's been going great for me.
So I'm curious, right? So, because when I think about selling on eBay, I immediately think of, okay, now I have to find the thing, I have to list it, and then I have to like send it out, which seems like a lot of work. I know probably once you get into the hang of it, that it's not as much as I'm probably making it out to seem in my head. But what's the time that you have to put forth to do this stuff?
I probably do somewhere between 7 to 9 hours per week with it. And on the weekends, I'll probably get up and head out the house around like 11 o'clock and come back in around 3 and go to the thrift stores. Like you say, I find the items. I know what I'm looking for when it comes to majority of the items. But if it's something that I see that may be catchy, I just pull out my phone and go to the eBay app, type the item in or scan it and see what the recent item have sold for. If it's sold for a decent price, I'll grab it and try to sell it. Get back home. It probably takes me about maybe 30 to 40 minutes to take the pictures. Taking pictures are probably like the easiest thing to do because take about 5 or 6 shots of each item. And literally that maybe takes about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how many items I have. The fun part is listing the items, because that could take a couple hours, depending on how many things I get from the thrift store and how detailed I want to get with it. It's not too stressful at all. And then not to mention the fact for me, I have a post office that's on campus. So when I sell something, it takes me 5 or 10 minutes to box it up. And then when I just take the package to work with me and go to the post office during my lunch break.
Mm-hmm. And what I like about this is something most people can do.
Yes.
Right? Like this is a side hustle that is available to anyone if they have the time and want to be creative, because I love just the fact that you can go to thrift stores. Some people actually enjoy like going to thrift stores and just shopping around. And like you said, like I think it would be pretty cool if you're like at the thrift store to see, just search, okay, what has this item sold for? So you kind of know before you buy it what your profit margin can be.
Yep. Yeah, it's fun for me. Like when I first started, I didn't know how long I was going to do it. But if I'm in Atlanta, I go to thrift stores every Saturday. And now I go on Fridays too sometimes because I have a couple in my neighborhood. So I usually stop by those stores once I get off work on Fridays. And like I say, anybody can do it. I would suggest that you start with items that you know. It's like, for example, if you know purses or if you know jewelry, start with those type of items. I don't know anything about those items, so I don't sell that type of stuff. But if somebody, if you know those items, purchase them and try to flip them, because it's money out. It's so much money out there. Mm-hmm. You just have to work though. You definitely have to work with it.
And I like that, you can take something that you're probably spending your money on now, or you have maybe not a quote unquote addiction. I'm using that word lightly, but just, there's some people who love bags, love shoes, love sports stuff, love sneakers. And if that's your thing, fine, but you can like transition it in a way where, instead of buying it for yourself and going into debt or not being able to reach your goals, you could do it with the goal of flipping it, right? And so I think that sounds kind of fun and cool for someone who's like, I love purses, but I kind of addicted to like looking at them. Then it's like, all right, well, how about you make a game out of it where you are now searching to flip purses? Like that seems like it would be like a really good avenue to like switch someone's focus.
Exactly. Like I look at it as a scavenger hunt from time to time, because depending on what thrift store you go to, you can find some old Jordans for like $4.99 or $6.99. You can see them selling online for like $69 or $79. And people will buy them for that price. And you literally can make $60 to $70 profit in less than 24 hours by doing that, by finding those items, listing them online.
So yes, you could test it out and do like one or two. And I guess for some people, it's like, oh, $40 is not that much. But if you get into the swing of it and you're doing multiple sales like this, it's going to add up.
It'll add up quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a point in November where like I had a week where my sales were like, my average sale was $60. So you can't really beat that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure whatever you bought was way less than that, right? So your profit margin.
Yeah, between 5 or 10.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. And so when it comes to now, I'm assuming that you're focused on using that money to pay down your debt.
Yes.
Right. So any extra money you're bringing in
is going towards the debt.
Right. And one of the things, so I was reading like through some of your blog posts and where you talked about how you're going to keep yourself accountable to reaching your goals. And one of them, it was funny. I was laughing when I was reading it because you said not going to Miami, to South Beach. And
yes.
And I was like, I love going to Miami also in South Beach. And when I was younger, without the kids, we would go for Memorial Day weekend. Now life is a bit different. Yes, because it's crazy. Memorial Day weekend. So can you talk about, it seems like you were still doing those things, like you were still taking trips and kind of like you said, going out at one point, even though you were paying off debt. And now it seems like you're so focused that you said to yourself, you're not going to do those kind of things until you're out of debt. Are you still focused in that way, or how are you feeling about it?
Like, it's crazy. I've always been doing the debt snowball. I've kind of tweaked it a little bit, and I wanted to get myself refocused on it. So I read the book. I'm actually reading the book again now this year. But the one thing that I'm not going to give up, and it sucks, but well, no, it doesn't suck, but I'm not giving up travel. I may not travel as much, but I'm not going to give up travel, because to me, travel is like my anti-drug. It's something that I love to do. It's one of the few things that actually makes me happy. Like, I love going someplace different. But also rereading the Total Money Makeover, you got to have some kind of gazelle intensity, and you got to have some kind of super discipline. So that's why I put Miami on the list. Like, I love Miami. I've been to Miami 12 times. It's my favorite city in the country to party and go to. But I cannot go to Miami until I pay off this $20,000, at least this $20,000 this year. So I got to get to work. Like, my girl know I love Miami. My friends know I love Miami. Like, I'm addicted to Miami. Like, it's something about that city. Like you said, you've been Memorial Day weekend, so you know how live it is. Mm-hmm. Like, I love that city. Literally, the whole year it's between 70 and 80 degrees. It's like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to have the discipline, and I have to like chill. I put it out there. I can't go to Miami until I pay this off. So
right.
Hopefully this is going to be part of the thing to light the fire to help me make it happen quicker.
Right. And it's so important because so many people have goals, whatever it is, whether it's paying off debt, investing a certain amount, saving for a house. And it's like competing possibly with some of the instant gratification stuff like you love. So whether it's traveling or going out to eat, like things that you really do enjoy. And if you think about like if there's something that you do really like doing, like it's, discretionary, but it's something that you really value. If you do put it on the back end of a goal, meaning, all right, I'm not going to do that until this gets done. Like you said, that gazelle intensity kicks in. If you stay focused and you're like, all right, that means I got to hustle hard to reach this goal because I want that payoff so much. As long as that payoff also doesn't put you back into debt, right? Like you got to be smart about it. But I like that, you're doing that. And I also like that you're making it known, like public, right? So now I can hold you accountable if I see some pictures about, I'm like, what is Jason doing in Miami? Let me check if he paid off his debt. So, okay, one of your side hustles, and I like the eBay stuff. So I think that hopefully can help journeyers if they're thinking about, let me try something out, right? The whole point of this is for you guys to try things out, right? Like everyone has, their toolbox on this journey. And so the point is to like pick up tools that you might not have picked up before, or try tools that you have not tried before. And so this could be one of them. eBay. I know you said you sell t-shirts. What's that about?
Yeah, I've been selling t-shirts for years now. I think, about 10 years as well. When I was in Savannah, I used to work at the Paula Deen store. Pretty much everybody know who Paula Deen is, but if not, she's the world famous chef that owns the restaurant, The Lady and Sons. That was like my college job right there. I worked in her restaurant and also her store. And inside her store, she used to have all kind of crazy t-shirts and stuff. And people used to just come in the store, buy all the shirts. Like, they used to have goofy sayings on there like biscuits, grits, girls raised in the South, stuff like that. And I'm just like, how is this little old lady selling these T-shirts? And I figured if she can do it, I can do it. So I created my first design for St. Patrick's Day, 2009, actually. And it basically was like a shirt that kind of like was similar to the idea of the I Love New York shirt. But instead of a heart, I had put I Shamrock Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that first year, I tripled the money that I put in the shirts. And I did great. Like I made almost $500 with those shirts. That got me hooked with it. And let's just say the next 2 years, I didn't do as good with the shirts. Couple things happened. I don't want to get into details, but I broke even each year. I'll just say that.
So are you selling these shirts online or in person?
At this time, this was in person. Like I would go to a shop. One of my frat brothers had a shop in Savannah, and just pay him to print the shirts out for me. Gave me a decent price, and then we would just literally be on the streets or be on Facebook. Like put messages as your status. Hey, I'm going to be on this street or I will be on campus. If you want some shirts, come holler at me. And I did that for the St. Patrick's Day. And even though like the 2 years afterwards, I didn't make as much money, I still like the T-shirt game. So fast forward a couple years, I started to do different designs because the reason I did St. Patrick's Day was because St. Patrick's Day in Savannah is a huge holiday. Savannah has one of the top 5 St. Patrick's Day celebrations in the country. And literally it's between 400 to 600,000 people that come down there for that weekend. So I did the St. Patrick's Day T-shirt. After that, I wanted to try something else. So I created what was that shirt? I created a Georgia Peach shirt and also a Decatur shirt. This is where like you start to learn stuff. I posted those shirts online. Everybody was like, yeah, man, we love the shirts. We love the shirts. So me not knowing any better, I printed out probably about 15 of each shirts. And guess how many I sold?
1.
Zip, zero, nada.
Wow. Where are all the people that said they wanted it?
Exactly. They were nowhere to be found. And up until last year, I still had some of those shirts in my closet before I donated them. And that happened those 2 times. And then it happened the third time with another T-shirt design. And I was like, I'm not going to be doing T-shirts like this anymore. So this was probably around, by now it was 2015. I heard of this. I found out about this website called Teespring. Pretty much Teespring is a print on demand website where you create a design, you upload it to the website, and you get a percentage of every shirt that sells. I was hooked with Teespring, and the reason why is because I lost money several times by printing out T-shirts and not selling them. So with Teespring, I didn't have to put any money down or anything. And if it sold, like for example, if a shirt sells for like $19.99 on Teespring, I get like $6 from the shirt. That's fine with me because I'm not losing any money anymore. Like I don't have to worry about printing it out. I don't have to worry about meeting up with anybody or trying to ship it. Teespring takes care of all that.
Yeah, you don't have the transaction risk there and all that. Yeah.
So ever since then, I've been doing T-shirts with Teespring. Last year, I was finally approved by Merch by Amazon, which is their T-shirt print on demand website. And it's a couple other sites that I've also signed up with. And I will say that I slipped last year because I was so focused on eBay. I didn't sell that many T-shirts. Like I sold 0 on Amazon, and I was complaining and trying to get on there for like a year. And when I finally got on there, I got on there and I did nothing. So since the eBay is doing pretty good, I'm focused on at least generating a certain amount of income from the T-shirts now. I went from having 2 T-shirts on Amazon to currently having 9. And right now I'm playing around with keywords, working on descriptions and titles as well, because Amazon is literally it has top 5, I think, traffic in the United States. So I'm trying to get that traffic to come to like my page on Amazon and buy some of my shirts because that could be great passive income.
Mm-hmm. And just got to get the SEO right for that. And it sounds like, again, you don't have to put anything up. It directly ships from Amazon. So it's really just about making whatever people, making it discoverable and making it designs that people. So I love that. That's like a additional like side hustle people can look into. Would you say that takes a lot of time to do and to design, or what would you say like upfront costs are for that?
For me, I would say the upfront costs are, I would say you probably need about maybe $50. And the reason I say $50 is because I outsource the designs. I have a designer on Fiverr, and I just pay them to do designs for me. Like I have a guy right now, he does 3 designs for $7. And depending on how many you want, depending on how many designs you want, you just have to pay a little bit more. So that's why I say you sit around, set aside $50, you can get this side hustle going ASAP. And the designs are great. Like, and there are, I would probably say 100 designers online. Some are cheaper than none are cheaper than $7. $7 is like the starter limit. But if you want to get somebody who knows what they're doing real good, you can easily pay $20 or $30 for a few designs as well. So I do that because like I don't have time. First off, I'm not good with Photoshop anyway. Second, I'm not really trying to learn it right now because like since I have a full-time job doing eBay and the website, I don't really have time to be learning Photoshop and trying to create my own designs. I just give him sketches where I just either send sketches online or give him ideas and tell him what I want, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I like this as a concept for people to explore more of because, you're paying a little bit money up front, but you have this design that you can reuse over and over and add to your store. And it's not something you have to pay each time. So
exactly,
these are good like ideas for side hustles. So journeyers, get on it, start like researching, like there's money to be made out there. You just have to just try it and be creative also.
And then something else too with both of my side hustles, which I didn't discuss earlier, but you can cross post. What I mean by cross posting is that I will start off with the t-shirts for cross posting. Like with that, I can post the shirt design on Amazon, on Teespring, and Redbubble. So that gives me 3 different options to possibly get a sale from that t-shirt. And going back to eBay, when it comes to cross posting, I can cross post items on different websites such as Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, Letgo, OfferUp. So that right there, that's 5 different avenues where your item could possibly sell. So for me, cross posting is huge with both side hustles too.
Thank you for bringing that up. So it's like just making it more successful, more chances to make your sale or that side hustle successful. All right, Jason. So this was really like insightful, a lot of great tips, and I hope we got some wheels turning for some people listening, what they can do to make some extra money. So we already know that your goal is to pay off $20,000 in total by the end of the year. So I'm going to be rooting for you on that. I'll be following your journey. Where can people follow your journey and root for you also to get this debt paid off?
You can follow me on Instagram. I have 2 Instagrams. The first one is My Money Chronicles. That's the one that's 100% business. I discuss everything I talked about today, t-shirts, eBay, blog stuff. Then I have my other Instagram account, which is jbutler.7, I think. And that one is it's both. It's 50% business and then 50% fun. So you'll see me at the games or at concerts or listening to music from time to time on that one. You can follow me on Facebook. My Money Chronicles 1 is the Facebook page. I'm on Pinterest at My Money Chronicles and on Twitter at money_chronicle. And that's where I'm at.
All right. And I will link all that in the show notes so people can check you out and learn more about you. But thanks, Jason, so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your journey.
No problem. Shoot, I appreciate you for having me.
All right, journeyers, really hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jason Butler of My Money Chronicles. If you want any of the episode show notes, you can go to journeytolaunch.com/episode 95. And show notes mean, because I had someone ask me this, like, exactly what do you mean when you say show notes? So wherever you're listening to this, right? If you wanted to see all the links that we mentioned or get the links to Jason's site or something else, you can type in journeytolaunch.com/episode 95 in your browser. So on your phone or on your laptop or Kindle or wherever you get internet access, and you'll be able to pull up my website with the specific episode show notes. So that's what I mean when I say episode show notes. Now, as always, please continue to share this with your family and friends. Let's get the word out there. Let's get other journeyers involved on this journey so we can launch the financial freedom together. As I mentioned, Launch Club is opening again in July. So make sure you get on the waitlist, journeytolaunch.com/launch club. There's going to be a lot of special things for people on that list in particular. All right, journeyers, until next week, keep on journeying.